Okay. Drum is done. Thanks for joining me today, guys. We'll get into the revision session now. I know not everyone's been able to do the material yet, and that's okay. The material's not incredibly dense just yet. It's not technical Vedanta. We're still in the introduction to the Tattvabodha and only just entering it towards the end of this lecture that we've just done and towards the end of this revision. So you won't be lost and you have time to catch up, so that's good. But there is material that I release every week for both study groups, that is Tattvabodha and Bhagavad Gita. So to make the most of the study group, please, if you can't find it, ask me where that study material is so that you can do it each week to get the maximum benefit. Okay, so I have some slides, some improved slides from what I was doing last week. I hope to improve each week, so hopefully these are an improvement. If you think anything was not an improvement, please let me know. So we have some slides. We have the answer book here, and we have a definition of Daivam for me to reference later. Okay? It would help if I was at the start. Tattvabodha, the map to self-knowledge. So this lecture number 2, was about why we study, how we study, and where the wisdom is coming from. Okay? But first, there's a recap from last week. So Swami wanted to remind us of the 5 benefits of studying the Shastra. These 5 benefits are called moksha. So the seeker who has become a jnani has these 5 benefits and is called a mukti. So he has attained, or realized is a better word, he has realized freedom or moksha and has these 5 benefits from studying the texts. Benefit number 1 is jijñāsa nivrittihi, which is an intellectual satisfaction. So just to remind you guys, as humans, we have an innate curiosity from a very young age. We want to know how things work and why. From rolling a ball to how opening up things works as a baby, we progress into being an adult and wanting to know where the world is, how the world came to be, what things are made of. Okay, so not just worldly knowledge, we seek fundamental knowledge, but the fact is we just seek knowledge. We want to know things, we're curious. We've explored into space and we've explored into the depths of the ocean, and we're even studying amoebas and lobsters. So it's our nature to be curious. This is all cured. This will all be cured. You won't have any questions left, such as where am I? Who am I? What happens after death? What is the universe? What is God? Etc. All of this will be eliminated. Okay? And the second benefit is vidyananda praptihi. So the first one was nivrittihi. So the seeking of knowledge, nivrittihi, ceases. So this one is praptihi. So it's something that we are gaining. So vidya ananda is what we're gaining. So happiness or satisfaction or fulfillment from knowledge. So knowledge itself can bring joy. Knowledge itself can bring freedom. Swami gave an example once about how knowledge can function to reveal things. And knowledge normally functions to build up an idea. So we read chemistry books to know more chemistry, and we read physics books to know more physics. But we do not read Vedanta books to know more Vedanta, because that would insinuate that we are getting to know Brahman better. We're not making concepts about Brahman. We're removing concepts. The example Swami gave is when he was a junior teacher. He was in his 30s and he went to an institution to teach Vedanta. Everybody who met him there assumed that he was an assistant Swami due to his age, so they asked him to sit. There was no namaskarams, there was nothing like that. And after half an hour, there was still no senior Swami. Someone came to see what was going on, and they saw Swami sitting on a chair. They apologized, offered namaskarams, did all sorts of things, and asked why he's sitting there, and he said, "I was asked to sit here." This person turned to the other students and said, "Why did you seat Swami outside?" And they said, "We didn't know that was Swami." So the question is, did they have a direct experience of Swami? They had an experience of Swami. That can't be denied. They saw Swami, they spoke to him, but they didn't know that that was Swami. Once they knew that this was Swami, their delusion was instantly destroyed. Now they have direct perception of Swami. Swami was already in their experience, but they didn't directly experience him as Swami. Okay, so knowledge can give direct experiences of things that are already in our experience that we're not recognizing. That's an important thing to know. And the second thing is that coming to know things is a form of happiness in itself. When we learn how something works, it brings satisfaction. When a scientist has an aha moment, eureka, they're filled with ecstasy. So knowledge brings ananda. And the knowledge that we are seeking is that all of the material objects that bring worldly satisfaction come from Atma only. So coming to know this is called Vidya Ananda. And Vidya Ananda leads to independence or a perennial source of happiness. We're no longer chasing the house, chasing the car, chasing the family, working towards goals and dreams. And if something goes wrong, then we are bankrupt of happiness. This can't happen anymore because we have a perennial source of happiness. Things can go wrong. Things don't go our way. Things can be a tragedy. But those were no longer our source of happiness. We have a perennial source of happiness. So in the presence of or not of material objects, we are happy. Because of this, we have aghata nivritti. Okay, so another stopping. It's nivritti of aghata. Aghata is impact or trauma. So when something happens in life, it impacts us, it traumatizes us. We can't think properly, we can't behave properly because we are frazzled. So these impacts, these traumas, these things that bog us down and affect our life, stop. And dakshata praptihi. So now we're gaining something, praptihi. What are we gaining? Dakshata, which is efficiency. So psychology says that without emotional stability, we don't have complete access to being able to think properly. Swami taught that there is an EQ as well as an IQ. EQ is emotional quotient, and it measures how well we are able to handle things emotionally. And he says the higher our emotional quotient, or the better we are at handling our emotions, the more access we have to our IQ or our intelligence. So by getting Aghata nivrittihi, or not being able to take blows from life anymore, we become efficient at everything we do because there's no distractions and we have a calm mind to think. So I hope that's familiar to you all. If it's not familiar, I hope that I've delivered that in a way that it's digestible. Digestible enough for you to get through the lecture. So Swami described that gaining self-knowledge acts as a suspension. Okay, so this would be in reference to the aghata nivrittihi. So without any self-knowledge, we're driving a car with no suspension at all. Every single little imperfection in the road, every stick, anything, any pothole, anything is going to be really serious for us because we have no suspension. We have to drive very, very slowly. We have to be very, very careful because one tiny thing could derail the entire journey. Self-knowledge acts as very high quality suspension. Okay? And as we learn more Vedanta and as we assimilate Vedanta into our lives, the suspension becomes higher and higher quality. So things now that affect you with Vedanta, with the assimilation of Vedantic knowledge, they will no longer affect you. Life will become easier. Okay, so suspension doesn't remove the bumps from the road, just like self-knowledge doesn't remove the issues of life. But what it does is it makes it so that the issues or the bumps in the road don't affect you. They don't throw the car from the road. They don't hurt your neck because the road is bumpy. You feel the bumps, you feel the road, but it's smooth. It's smooth sailing. Life is easy if we have self-knowledge. So that's the point I just elaborated on. Self-knowledge is the internal shock absorber. If it's working, you don't even feel the bumps. If it's broken, you get psychological spondylitis. Okay, you break down over tiny little things. I got this picture. Here's a guy navigating life without Vedanta. Here's a guy cruising along, smooth ride. He's got music. He's got Vedanta. Okay, so that's what this wants to point to. Now, the scriptural ladder. Okay, so this is important to know as a fundamental, just for yourself, and so that you are able to have conversations with your peers about the texts. So Shruti is the Vedas. So this is original. Shruti means that it's heard. That's because it's so old that it didn't even used to be texts. It was all oral. That's why we have like meters and different pitches and things when we chant, and it's been designed to be memorizable because we didn't used to have paper or a chisel and stone even, that it was too much to carve into stone, so we needed to wait for paper and pen. So before that it was all oral. So the guru would chant and impart those mantras to the shishya and then teach them Sanskrit and then teach them Vedanta. Okay, so the Vedas is called Shruti. So if you hear the word Shruti, think Upanishad or Purva Veda, the beginning portions of the Vedas. Shruti is Veda. That's all that matters. Smriti is a rishi's elaboration. Okay, so Smriti must be based on Shruti. If Smriti contradicts the Shruti, then we don't need to listen to it. In fact, it wouldn't even be considered Smriti if it contradicts the Shruti. Okay, so that this right now, if you remember back to our last lecture, Swami called the Gita the Sara. Sara meant the essence of the Vedas. Okay? So the rishis wrote the Gita and they extracted the essential, fundamental messages from the Vedas that we need to move from a normal person to a person with knowledge. The entire path, all the essentials, the essential essence has been put into the Gita. So, although the Gita is a Smriti text, it was written by the rishis, Vyasacharya, and it is based on the Shruti. And nothing in the Gita contradicts the Shruti. So, Gita is upgraded to a very, very high status and is part of the Vedanta Prasthana Trayam. That means it's part of our core texts and we accept it with as much authority as the Upanishad. Okay, and Sutra are coded aphorisms. They always come with commentary because they're so dense. They are algorithmic, mathematical almost, aphorisms of logic encoded in Sanskrit professionally. So bhashyas are required to extract these. And we have Shruti. Shruti is called Shabda Prasthana. Okay, so the Upanishad is Shabda Prasthana. It means it's by sound. Smriti, Gita, the Bhagavad Gita is Smriti Prasthana. Okay, so we have Prasthana Trayam, that is Upanishads, Gita, and Brahma Sutras. Gita is Smriti Prasthana. Upanishad is Shabda Prasthana. And Brahma Sutras are Nyaya Prasthana, or about the method or the knowledge. They break things down logically and they prove them using logic. They dissect other schools and they compare things, and Vyasacharya and Shankaracharya go to great lengths to establish why they feel Advaita Vedanta is superior to the other schools. And they point out the flaws in other schools and why Vedanta doesn't have those flaws. So that's very advanced stuff. Brahma Sutras comes a long way in the future. And the fourth layer of our text is called Prakaranam. Okay, so these are introductory texts to these Prasthana Trayam. They are also written by rishis and they do not contradict the Shruti in any way. They are a more modern version of delivery. For example, the Gita was written thousands and thousands of years ago. That's relatively accessible to most people. But when we go to the Upanishads and even the earlier Vedas, things get very complicated. So Prakaranams are more modern day. So in the last few hundred years, Acharyas condensing topics and elaborating on them, usually one topic at a time. Sometimes they'll do a broad, they'll cover a blanket of ideas that broadly fit under one topic. So that's Prakaranam. That's what we're studying here, Tattvabodha. It's a Prakaranam. They're manuals on certain topics. Okay, so in the lecture, Swami elaborated that the rishis did not see or experience ultimate reality itself in an experience of any kind. The rishis, through tapas, through sadhana, became so in tune with the universe and with Ishvara and with God that they began to act like a receiver, like a radio, and they just started having revelations and hearing mantras. This is what they shared with us. Because we don't believe that the Vedas were created by humans, we believe that they're part of the creation itself. They're timeless and they're infinite, and they are within the creation itself. And in this Srishti, that knowledge has manifested as the Vedas. Okay? So that's why we call it Shruti. It's not spoken by any person, it's been heard. It's been heard. And you can confirm it by yourself by direct experience. Okay. So here's the three I just elaborated on. Prasthana Trayam. Trayam is three. Prasthana is where the wisdom comes from. Okay? So this is the Prasthana Trayam of Advaita Vedanta. The Upanishads show us the vision. The Bhagavad Gita tell us how to apply it. And the Brahma Sutras will break the logic down and explain to us why it is the way it is, if we have doubts. So, naturally, the problem is that they are massive. We started off with over 1,000 Upanishads. Now we have 108. Still, of those, as a Vedantin, we only focus on 10, sometimes 11. And Swami Paramarthananda even recommends that you'd only need 6, along with the Bhagavad Gita and a few Prakarana Granthas. That's because it is so vast. It's so vast. And that's why we have the Prakaranams. Okay, they act like a pipeline. The Vedas are a massive, massive reservoir of information on countless topics. From material, how to get a wife, how to make money, all the way up to liberation. Okay, so we can't necessarily, especially just as grahastas, go to this reservoir, go to the Vedas every single time we need a piece of knowledge. Every single time we need one glass of water, we can't be going all the way to this huge body of water. Okay, and not only that, we would have to find the specific cup of water. It's not like a body we can just take from. We need to also locate it. So it's very difficult. The Prakaranam texts, like the Tattvabodha, is a pipeline. It brings specific parts of that wisdom directly to us in the form of a tap. So Atma Bodha is going to bring to us directly, very succinctly, core definitions, fundamental concepts, and an introduction to self-knowledge. Otherwise, we would need to listen to multiple Upanishads just to get this brief summary. So all we want is a brief summary, an introduction. That's what Prakarana Granthas are doing. They're pipelining us important information. Okay, so why would any Acharya recommend to start with the Tattvabodha? Because it's an entry strategy. It uses modern languages and examples. Okay, so when it says modern, we're not talking 21st century English, we're talking non-archaic, non-ancient Veda, Sanskrit type of communication. Okay, with different society. Okay, society is always changing, always transforming. They're more familiar with the problems that we face today, even though they're 100 years ago or hundreds of years ago. They're not thousands of years ago. So we get more modern languages and more modern examples. Also, it defines the jargon, the technical terms. So if you are speaking to a doctor, he will say you broke your arm. But if he is speaking to another doctor, he'll say he broke the distal something or other on the proximal end of his some Latin word. Okay, so Swami was using the example of cricket. They use jargon such as LBW, leg before wicket. Okay, so there's all these jargons that are specific to different domains of knowledge. Chemistry scientists have their set of jargon. Doctors have their jargon. Okay, physicists have their jargon. Superposition, all these sorts of things. Well, in Vedanta, we have jargon. And without that jargon, you can't navigate properly because a lot of our jargon can't be directly translated to English. And so it's handy to know, especially because the jargon shows up in multiple texts all the way through. So this jargon isn't just in the Prakarana Grantha. This is not Tattvabodha terminology that we're learning. This is Gita terminology. This is Upanishad terminology. This is Brahma Sutra terminology. Not just that, it will give us insight into other texts, itihasas, like Ramayana and Puranas. Okay? So this isn't just preparing us for Vedanta, it's preparing us to study the scriptures. So it's very fundamental. And it's systematic. So when you're building a house, if you just get a bunch of bricks and you just start trying to build walls, it's going to be really uneven. It's going to be slippery and just unstable. And when you build a house, one good kick will knock it down. So all of this information is sort of laying down a nice, firm, level, concrete base for you to construct your Vedanta knowledge on. And it's not going to move anywhere. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Because Vedanta will keep adding bricks. And unless you get this foundation down solid, as you build it up and up and up and up, it's going to topple. And you'll blame Vedanta. You'll say, this doesn't work. I'm not experiencing Vidya Ananda. And you'll stop. There won't be a Tattvabodha revision group number 3. So it's very important that we get the foundations down because it actually gives the further knowledge, the advanced knowledge, the stuff that's going to transform your life, it gives it somewhere to land because we're setting up a framework. To make that framework more complicated, we need a solid initial framework. You do not ever begin teaching a child algebra before they know their times tables. There's no framework for any algebra to land on. So we're setting up a framework for the Gita and the Upanishads and the other Prakarana Grantha to land on. Okay? So that's why we're doing this. I already made a nice picture, a slide for this. So I'll just leave that there for 10 seconds. You guys can read that. Okay, so paribhasha is terminology. It means terminology. It means technical terminology. Okay, so the technical terminology is what we're learning here, which is paribhasha. Okay. Okay, so Swami was explaining in the lecture that actually first, since we've introduced the word Daivam here. So first I'll go over to, I have this organized. Just to quickly explain what Daivam is. Alright, so this is out of the lecture. Swami says, I can sow the seed, but the rain must come on time. I can go out for a particular place, but where traffic diversion is there, you don't know. And you plan something at home and the power cuts. These are all not under my control, and all of those extraneous factors together are called Daivam. Daivam is equal to unpredictable, uncontrollable factors. We call Daivam. Unpredictable factors plus uncontrollable factors. A cyclone may be predicted, but a cyclone cannot be controlled. Previously, cyclone was unpredictable and uncontrollable, but the science advanced and it made cyclones predictable, but you cannot control. What you can do is maximum evacuate the people. That is not controlling the cyclone. As far as an earthquake is concerned, it continues to be both unpredictable and uncontrollable. We call it Daivam, and that Daivam must be favorable to me. They may call it good luck or luck, but we don't use that word luck, okay? So Daivam is whether we're getting good luck or bad luck from our karma phalams. So the fruits of actions that we've performed in the past are all working with Ishvara already. Ishvara is like a supercomputer. Everything we have ever done in any lifetime is inside Ishvara for processing. Okay? And we don't know how or when or why any outcomes will manifest. So over to here, we must put in prayatnaha, or our own effort. It is absolutely mandatory that we exert effort. Okay, but the other side of that is we also need grace. We need Daivam. So we need the Daivam to work out in our favor. That is where Ishvara's anugraha comes in. Okay, so we control our effort, but we cannot control the prarabdha karma. We can't control what is coming in. We can't control what is already happening. Okay, so no matter what we do, no matter how much effort we put in, something could go wrong. Okay, so the main takeaway from this is that we control the effort, we do not control the outcome. So getting upset about things going wrong, stuff not going your way, is a result of ignorance. And that is what Vedanta wants to treat. So here's another example for that one. A sower can plow the field and he can put the best seeds in, right? That's prayatnaha, that's his effort. He went to the shop. He bought the best seeds. He prepared the soil. It took 8 weeks. He filled it with compost. He pH'd it. He covered it with hay, and he watered it daily, and he prepared it. He made sure it was warm. He got the soil perfect. But then it didn't rain. That's the Daivam. And the crop died before it could even grow. Or it rained way too much and everything just got flushed out. Okay? So that's the example there. Uncontrollable factors are out of our control. So we don't worry about them. We worry about what? Prayatnaha, our effort. And why? First of all, without even touching Vedanta, why would we do that? Why would we only focus on our efforts and not the uncontrollable circumstances? Because they're uncontrollable. You are inviting a headache. You asked for a headache because you tried to control uncontrollable circumstances. It's like putting your hand into fire and getting burned and then saying, fire is bad because it burned me. Fire is not bad. Fire is not good. Fire is hot. And you added good or bad, okay? Anyway, I digress. I feel myself going into a ramble. So, why would we start with prayer? Okay, so we can tie this in with the Daivam, with the incoming prarabdha karma. Prayer is not just a ritual, it's a strategic move to handle the Daivam. Why? Because Ishvara is not breaking the laws, he's not bending any rules to help someone. Ishvara can't break a law to perform a miracle. The laws are the laws of karma. Ishvara can't break his own laws because he is the laws and he is all-powerful. So, if the laws can't be bent and the laws can't be broken, why would prayer help? Because in the framework itself, it's designed so that prayer brings in punya phalam. It brings good karma. It's called prayaschitta karma. It helps to negate or blunten that incoming karma. That's why we say that prayer helps Daivam. That's why we say that prayer can do this and this and this. If Krishna can't break any laws of the universe, then how did he help Draupadi? Because he didn't break any laws. She had such great devotion, such great bhakti, such respect and love and faith that it generated enough punya phalam to manifest Krishna there for her. That's it. It's all within the law. Nothing was broken. There is no true miracles. It's all cause and effect. It's karma. It's the laws of karma. That's it. Okay? Yeah. And so this helps to convert work into worship. So this is part of the karma yoga framework, okay? So that'll all get expanded on really, really well in chapter 3 of the Gita, but just for now, converting work into worship is good. Okay? That's enough. Okay. So the Guru-God connection, the salute to Vasudevendra. So this is the Mangala Stotra, the Mangala Shloka of Tattvabodha. Here it is here, opening shloka. So, Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitharthaye Tattvabodho Vidhiyate. That is the Mangala Shloka. Okay? And it's paying respects to this Swami's teacher. Okay? Who is? Vasudevendra. Yogindram is a title. I wanted to dissect this more. Yeah, there it is. Okay. I thought I lost my material. Okay. So, who is being saluted and why? The author is saluting his guru, Vasudevendra, Vasudeva Saraswati. He's revered as a great yogi, the bestower of knowledge. So here, yogi here is not referring to someone who practices Patanjali's yoga. Here, yogi means someone who through yoga has attained self-knowledge. Through karma yoga, through upasana yoga, and through jnana yoga have become a yogi. This yogi is called a jnani. Okay, what is meant by jnanapradam gurum? And what does it imply about self-study? So the guru is the giver or the unfolder of knowledge. So this implies that this is traditionally gained through guru upadesha, not independent study. Underline. Okay, so we cannot, the Shastra at least, I'm not saying this to you, I will tell you that the Shastra do not support studying the Shastra itself by yourself. The Shastra does not accept buying a book, a translation, and reading that book. They do not call this Vedanta Shravana. Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. This is called Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is 3 sadhana called Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. Shravana is when a guru speaks to a shishya and imparts knowledge. And that guru got the knowledge from his guru. Now there is outlier cases, Ramana Maharishi, etc., who attained realization spontaneously. These seekers, or jnanis, I should say, did not bypass anything. They did karma yoga, they did upasana yoga, and they did jnana yoga. But the caveat is it was not in this life. They must have had a guru-shishya relationship, and they must have done sadhana, but it wasn't in this life. They were 99.9% of the way. It's like Ramanuja, the mathematician. I don't know if anybody knows who he is, but look it up. It's very interesting. He is a math prodigy. It's almost not possible for me to explain it in a way that you can grasp how mind-boggling this person is. But he knew advanced math, and he created advanced math, and it was part of him. And he wasn't even old enough to be studying that sort of math. You should look it up. These sort of people come all the time. 6, 5, 4-year-olds playing guitar, playing piano. They're carrying these skills over. And they just call them geniuses. For Vedanta, that's all we'll do too. They're genius students. But we know why they're genius. It's from Purva Janma. It's from another birth. It's from a lot of work. They earned it. Please do not be mistaken. It is a very big mistake when students see these outlier cases and they think that they don't need to study with a guru. Okay? We have studied Ramana Maharishi's Upadesha Sara, and you will see that he sticks very closely to the traditional approach, which is get a guru, do karma yoga, do upasana yoga, and then get knowledge. Okay, so we'll study that. Don't worry too much about this. I'm rambling again. So for whose benefit is the text? For the mumukshus, for the seekers of liberation. It's for you guys. What indirect link to Vasudeva/Krishna is mentioned or implied? Vasudeva is also a name for Lord Krishna. So, salutations to Vasudevendra is indirectly echoing reverence to Jagadguru Krishna. Okay? So I think I can go back to my slideshow now, which is nearly done, guys. Okay, so that's that. Mangala Charya, that's the Mangala Shloka. Another word for this is Pra Arthana Shloka, which just means that this shloka is giving an overview. It's an introductory shloka giving an overview of what the meaning is of the text. Okay? Alright, so the goal of this class. So the goal of this actual lecture and this revision, among all that Sanskrit terminology, the actual point was that we're not here primarily to learn all this terminology and all these things. These terminologies need to be learned. Why? To build a poised mind. Not poisoned, poised, calm, collected, refreshed, ready, not anticipating, not anxious. Okay, that's what we need. I want you guys to take this away. We need this for Vedanta. We're not just learning information, we're building effective and independent, joyful mind. All of this information is purely for transformation. That's what we're looking at here. Transformation. Information is a means to an end. Information is a tool or an instrument. This is what we want. Transformation. Because a poised mind is an effective mind, or, using the language from last lecture, a mind that is not suffering from aghata aghata will have dakshata praptihi. Someone who is not taking impacts from samsara and unable to think clearly can think clearly and perform better and be efficient at everything they do. I've put down here a little quote, Anabhyase visham vidya ajirne bhojanam visham. Without practice, knowledge is like poison. Just like undigested food is poison. So food, if you eat it, is supposed to nourish the body, strengthens the hair, the bones, the teeth, the nails, and it gives you a nice clear mind and it builds your muscles. But if there's a stomach issue and you eat it and it remains undigested and it sits there, it will fester and it will make you sick and you'll need to vomit it up or get some sort of an operation or see a doctor. So if you keep eating food and you keep eating food and you keep eating food and you're not digesting it, you will get sick. Vedanta is offering you the same warning. If you keep taking in knowledge and you keep reading books and you keep learning, but you never implement it into your life, you're going to end up sick. You'll end up with ego problems and you'll end up thinking that you're liberated when you're not, and it will be messy. So, luckily the Gita will also teach us how to implement, and we're learning everything that we need to study the Gita now. That's it for today's review session. Thank you for sticking around for the entire 50 minutes. I hope that was useful. Any feedback on the new type of slideshows that I've used and this flow would be appreciated. I will release week 3's material in the next 2 hours. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me. Hari Om. And I'll stay here for a few minutes. Actually, you guys may leave now. I'll stay here for a few minutes in case anyone has any questions. Okay. Enjoy your day. Hari Om. Thank you.